Hey, Michelle, thank you for coming on with us here today.
Adam, thanks for having me.
You have almost been on with us for roughly about a year now, give or take. I remember
Yeah, it
talking.
seems like it's gone by pretty quick and it's been enjoyable.
It has. So thanks for coming on here and kind of talking through things with your experience so far. I always like to start at the beginning, if you can reminisce and remember just first the process of coming on board a year ago, how that all went down. And then two, why you ended up finally, not finally, but why you ended up kind of joining and coming on board initially, maybe get you pushed over the hump. So talk to me about the initial process and then maybe the thoughts going through your mind and then what led you to end up coming on and doing this.
I moved to Florida in 2021, sort of had a remote job that I did for my company that I worked for up in Maryland for a bit. And that's held me over for about 8 to 9 months. And then that started to dwindle. And so I went into home health because I thought that would give me and open new doors for me. So I worked for a hospital organization here where I lived, and it just didn't work out. It was a lot more driving, a lot more paperwork than I wanted to do, and not a lot of patient care, which is what I really enjoy. So I transitioned to a Medicare Part B company that promised a lot of things. Initially, it was great. It was a lot of orthopedic. We had a surgeon that fed us, post surgical knees, hips, and that was a lot of fun, and it was in my area. Then that relationship sort of dwindled, and the patients were becoming few and far between. I was having to drive a whole lot more than actually see patients, and just wasn't happy with how that things were going. There wasn't a lot of communication with the powers that be, and I didn't feel supported. Did some more researching, and your company came up, and we had a conversation early on, and it sounded challenging. It sounded almost a little unnerving because I was going to have to do some of the marketing and doing that myself, which was something that I did in my previous role, but I had a marketing team that came along with me, so it wasn't as daunting. But this also gave me a way to connect a little bit more with my broader community, find new ways to market myself and show that I had value to provide to friends, family, neighborhoods, community. And it's been good. It's the support that I've had from you, from the marketing team, Savannah, from the admin. And I'm not really sure you guys never not work. I mean, I feel like I can text you and within like 10 minutes have a response, which is phenomenal. Usually don't really think I'm going to get an answer. And then all of a sudden, oh no, they've already responded. So that's been super helpful. And it's something that endears me to this company. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you for those words. Thank you for those words. Going back to coming on board, when you said, "Hey, yeah, it would be a little bit more challenging, obviously, going to go out and maybe find your own patients." Were you doing that more so because you notice the independence and autonomy that comes with that, saying, "Hey, I can set myself up for the future and have my own clientele and have my own independence," or is it mainly, "Hey, I just need to kind of fill up my schedule"? Where do you fall in that line of how you like to utilize the platform and PT-2U?
A little bit of both. I mean, I like being able to pick and choose. So by going to some of the doctors, you kind of go in and get a feel for the staff, for the doctors, and you get a sense whether, hey, this is going to be something that I want to pursue because I think the relationship is going to be great. But I wanted to be able to fill out my schedule. So doing different marketing sort of approaches and tactics and things that sort of come on sort of haphazardly where I talk to somebody in the neighborhood, oh, I have a parent, and they have a friend. So that's been sort of my bread and butter right now. So I really haven't had to do a lot of follow-up marketing with some of the doctors right now.
Yeah.
But knowing that I do have some of those connections that I've, established some of those early on, can always go back to and follow up with. Yeah, it's kind of find middle of the line, I think, for that question.
The next thing about, I don't want to say Florida, at least where we are right now, is it's a huge culture of physical therapy assistants and a lot of patients that you run into, good, bad, or indifferent. When someone like you goes out to see them, someone like myself, or a lot of our other therapists, they're usually shell shocked. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know therapy was supposed to be like this," and then they realize what physical therapy actually is, and exactly what you just said. Start telling their friends, neighbors, and communities about it because they finally found a good PT, and they finally understand what physical therapy can look like and be, and then that's what they are all are searching for to then go out and tell everyone, like it sounds like you're experiencing.
Yeah, it's been nice, and, I could control. I mean, there are patients that I've, brought on that, maybe, they're it's a not a two-way relationship,
Sure,
they
sure,
don't have the motivation, they're not gonna
of
do it.
course,
So, we don't have to continue on, and I can make that decision. It's not being dictated by, a
correct.
company that's on the West Coast of the country and telling me that you have to do 16 visits and this is what it is. And
Good. Let's transition over to the documentation and the support you got for the documentation.
that's been nice. I mean, the company I was with before, it was an app, you can dictate it and you can sort of do it in your car and a little bit more streamlined. But the clinician is a very easy system to use. I'm able to get through my documentation fairly easily. I just getting to sitting down and focusing on doing it is more of my challenge. But, you're there not monitoring, but making sure that I'm crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's and giving me feedback on what would help support the clinical work that I'm doing. So, and that's been from day one, and we're still working on some of the nuances, and I appreciate having some of that backup that to make sure that I'm not being lazy in my documentation, and then I'm, staying true
Yeah,
to what we're being held to
yeah.
in terms of.
And then we got the whole database of videos, like everything that, and it's got all the support that you could ever need when it comes to documentation. How long do you think a treatment note takes for you to do?
Uh, if I sit down and focus on it, it's no more than 10, not even 10 minutes.
Yeah, perfect. Good. Okay. Let's transition to admin support, to getting the orders, everything, our office staff on what you see with, getting orders, etc. How do you find that to be?
Once I get my end covered, it's
Yeah.
seamless. It's been very helpful. I mean, it's nice having that level of support, and I feel like it's a one-on-one. I'm not speaking to 5 different people any
Mhm.
given time. It's one person.
And then let's keep going to I know you're most we have a lot of therapists who are PRN, part-time. They tell me different things like, hey, Adam, I'm just trying to work my 2 days a week, have my own patients and do that. Others who are trying to work, 5 days a week and get all the referral sources possible. I think you fall in that part-time bucket like we've discussed. So where do you envision going forward a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, staying in your lane with your patients that you have and just keep trying to build that clientele to fill your part-time schedule? Or how do you kind of envision the future of being on?
I'm still building on my patient load, and I feel like with what I have right now, I have between 2 and 3 patients, could have 2 and 3 patients on any given afternoon after having my other part-time job. And right now with most health insurances being tied to, some type of employment, that's where it sort of keeps me
Hmm.
limited in being able to branch out and build up a little bit more, but knowing that I have a good base, if that ever
Yeah.
had to change, have a cushion where I could,
Yeah.
sustain myself and then continue to build. And I think right now, I mean, I have to get, screen all the I have like 3 or 4 patients that I need to bring on, and I'm just trying to look at my schedule and figure out where I'm bringing them on. So that's a good problem to have, right?
It is. Yes,
Yeah, so
like I said, outpatient. The nice thing, which is a huge difference, between home health Part A and outpatient Part B, is when that patient comes in for Part A, referral comes in, you only have 24 to 48 hours where you have to get out there.
yeah,
Nice part about Part B is those scripts are good for 30 days. So, whether it's after the holiday, whether it's before, you got it three
yeah.
weeks from now. Like I said, it's so flexible where that's a good problem to have. Exactly what you just said of, okay,
Holidays, they're gonna be
out.
busy. I'm like, "Are you gonna be able to sit with me for 1 time a week or 2 times
Yeah.
a week for the next 4 weeks, knowing that we're going into the holidays?" And I get a lot of, "Well, we might be going back up north for 2 weeks." I'm like, "Well, then let's focus on when you're gonna be here for a good stretch of 3 months,
Yes.
and, we'll connect then." So I'm actually waiting for a couple of them to get back to me on that because they do travel back and forth.
Very good. And then lastly, let's wrap up with what you would tell someone else who maybe in your situation a year ago or, finding about our company, et cetera, and why maybe they should come on board and and speaking to them.
I think, if you want to have the autonomy to build your practice, build who you want to see and dictate who you want to see, I think this company is invaluable in that you do a lot of training and you provide a lot of resources on how you can do that. You have PTs that are in the trenches and doing it and have been working on it, so they provide insight on different referral sources, and it's not always the cookie cutter go to the doctor's offices. They're there to help support you and give you ideas and give you kudos for when do it right, and then a little push to, hey, maybe try this. So I think if anybody wanted to have that flexibility, ability to build on themselves and create the patient environment that they wanted, this is, I mean, it's been a great experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's very nice of you. We'll wrap it up there. Thank you for coming on, taking the time to share your experience.
Thank you.